everyone, it's Kieran of Newlywed with Sean and Kieran. Thank you all so much for tuning into my very first DIY video. Today I will be making a mason jar herb garden. With the exception of the herbs, everything I will use for this DIY project was purchased at garage sales. I love to use mason jars in projects whenever I can, so when I saw a box of 20 mason jars for just $2 at a garage sale, I couldn't pass them up. These small wooden crates caught my eye because of their dark and weathered finish. Each crate only cost 50 cents, so I bought them all. Aren't these the most beautiful herbs? I chose rosemary, parsley, oregano, basil, and mint for my herb garden. I purchased these gorgeous herbs at Chrissy's greenhouse in Amsterdam. The staff was so friendly, knowledgeable, and helpful. A link to their Facebook page is below. The first thing I did for this project was make sure the mason jars were clean. Then I took a small cup and I used that to scoop the dirt out of the bag and into the jar. Now, the dirt I actually got at Chrissy's greenhouse, and it's potting soil unlike any potting soil I've ever seen, because usually when I plant, the potting soil is wet and very heavy, but this was very light and almost fluffy. And so it was a different experience for me using this potting soil. Since the potting soil was so light, the next thing I did was grab a cup and fill it with water and pour it on top of the potting soil to moisten it up a bit. Ta-da! Dirt and water. I chose to grab the rosemary first for planting. I love how tall the plant is and how sturdy the leaves are. Here's a close-up view of its little ticket. So I pulled the plant out of the container and I realized that it was very dry and a lot bigger than the hole for the mason jar. So what I did was I took the plant and I loosened up the roots a bit, which I wanted to anyway, and I was able to push the plant down into the jar on top of the dirt, the wet dirt that I had already put in the jar. This project was a bit of trial and error because after I got the rosemary plant into the jar, I realized that I had put way too much dirt into it. So I was able to dump out some of the potting soil. I actually had to use my super technical plastic knife to get it out. And so I dumped out some of the potting soil and I put the rosemary plant back in on top of it. And I resituated the roots and I was able to put a little more potting soil on top. And I just feel like that made the plant a little more comfortable. I'm not a plant, so I'm not quite sure how comfortable a plant can feel, but it just seemed to be better to have a good amount of potting soil on the bottom and potting soil on the top of the plant. There you go, there's the completed rosemary. I just love how it looks. Ah, it smells so good too. I then repeated the same process with the 4 other plants. The planting is all done, so now it's time to organize them in this wooden crate. I decided that it would be best to start with the tallest plants and put those towards the back. So I first put rosemary in the middle of the crate. Then I put in mint next. It was leaning a little bit. Then I put in the parsley, the basil next, and the oregano last. There you have it, a completed mason jar herb garden. But I don't really like those tags. I think the heart-shaped label attached with a clothespin is the perfect finishing touch to my mason jar herb garden. Thank you all so much for checking out my first DIY video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, check out my weekly garage sale haul videos. Bye everyone!